party started. We'll get it started in here. Now, get this party started. Homeschool. All right, come on, work with me now. I always laugh when people say stupid technology. It's you that can't figure out how to work the technology. In this case, that would be me. Hello, TikTok. Get you right next to YouTube. Get the two of you bumping. How is it going? It is a rainy day, but a beautiful day here in the not so sunny South. But that's okay. A little bit of rain never hurt anybody, and quite frankly, I'm going overkill with the jacket. I don't really need it. But when I looked outside, it looked intimidating, so I thought I'd bring my jacket. And anyway, here I am under the gazebo in the rain, and it is a beautiful day. And as I always tell people, life is about how you look at it. And whenever I'm around someone and they say, oh man, I wish it was 10 degrees warmer, I always say, well, it could be 10 degrees colder, right? And it's just a matter of how you look at things. I was listening to a talk a couple of weeks ago. I thought it was really good. And it was Bradley, and basically he was saying that how would you feel if you woke up this morning and I were to hand you $1 million? And you would feel great about yourself, right? Everything would be going wonderful. Well, what if I told you, okay, I'll give you that $1 million, but you can't wake up? And then every person would turn away that $1 million. So every morning that we wake up is more valuable than $1 million. It's more valuable than $10 million. It's more valuable than $100 million. Every opportunity, every day that we wake up is an opportunity to do something great in our lives, to do something great in this world. And I have had good days and I have had bad days. I'm the homeschool guy, right? So everyone, I think from what I project, they probably look at me and think, oh, he's invincible with this stuff, right? Well, no, I have off days too, right? Yesterday, for whatever reason, it was just one of those days where I could not get anything going in terms of the schooling with my boy. And, every time I started getting something going, I got pulled in one direction, pulled in another direction. My wife had the same thing going on. There were things that we had to take care of. And, when we were ready to do schooling stuff, my boy wasn't quite ready. And it was just one of those days where things didn't work out. And the truth is, that's fine, right? That's fine. In fact, one of the best parts about homeschooling is the tremendous amount of flexibility that we have, because, that was a Wednesday, and it's like you could think, oh man, well, we had a really unproductive Wednesday. Except with homeschooling, I could think back to the weekend, and we had a really productive Sunday, and we had a really productive Saturday, right? And we had a great weekend, jam-packed, full of doing fun things. We took Brady to one of the garden centers over the weekend, and it was just a great learning experience. He learned about all the different plants. We got to interact with animals and alpacas, and some great socialization. So anyway, I woke up this morning, and I wasn't going to let yesterday bring me down. And, I woke up this morning, and I get up before the family. I wake up at depending on the day, anywhere from 3 to 5 a.m., so I could do some work before everyone wakes up. So I was done with all my stuff before the children woke up. Finally they woke up. I told Nicole, I said, go to the store. She wanted to go to the store. And I hung out with the children, and I just had a great morning doing homeschooling with Brady, working on his letters and working on the sounds, and reading a few books that he really loves and doing some basic math. So, I didn't let yesterday bring me down. And I think I think something that's really important that I need to keep sight of is I need to talk about my struggles when, here and there, just because I think everyone probably looks at me and they think I don't struggle. And yeah, I have bad days, and that's like, it's okay to have bad days. And the thing is, just always keep in mind that you have flexibility. If something's not working, when you take that and you throw it out the window and you regroup, and there's no one right time to educate a person. It doesn't have to happen. It has to happen from 8 a.m. to 12 noon. Like, no, it doesn't have to. Or it has to happen in this classroom between these concrete walls. Like, no, it doesn't. It can happen out in the world. It could happen at the garden center. It could happen at the aquarium. It could happen when we go on our family walks and our nature walks. It could happen when Brady wants to go ride a scooter, so I go ride a scooter with him. And there's no one right time or place to educate a child. And if something doesn't work out, don't get down on yourself. Like, everyone has tough days. In fact, when you think about public school, I mean, they don't have tough days. They have tough semesters, right? They have tough years in which they just never get things back on track. So you have immense flexibility with your homeschooling. Every day is a new day, as Melissa says. And I like that Alaska Bear brought up mindset, because so much of what we do, right, so much of what we do with our homeschools is creating a culture in which our children develop a winning. One of the things I got this week is I ordered on Amazon 2 books, The Money Ninja and The Investor Ninja, right? And so I got these 2 books, and so far I've read them to my boy probably 4 or 5 times, and he absolutely loves these books. And the reason I like them, and the reason that I've recommended them to people for a long time, is because they're great early childhood books in one, introducing concepts, but 2, developing mindset, right? So I sat down with my boy, we read these books, and The Money Ninja, it's great. It's just all about how he starts a lemonade stand, how he gets candy machines, and the candy machines give him passive income. And he's like, "Oh, Dad, what's passive income?" I said, "Oh, well, Brady." I said, "What's passive income? Right now, we're sitting here, right? And we're not doing anything. But people are buying my books, right?" And he understands that. He understands that people buy our books. I said, "So yeah," I said, "that's kind of passive income, right? I mean, yes, I have to work for it, but..." Nicole, my wife bought an ice cream maker this morning, so her and Brady are going to be making ice cream, and she's very excited about that. Right? So I'm developing this mindset in him as I introduce these concepts. And then I always talk to him about how we work. It's that we run a business, and it's just part of life, and we do our business stuff because one, we make the world a better place with what we do. And I do talk to him about how there's a lot of businesses that don't do that and how that's not good, right? We talk a lot about the food companies and how, like, Red 40 is the lesson we learned this month, where he's big into understanding Red 40 now. And, like, we go to the grocery store and, like, we look at stuff and he's like, "Look at the ingredients, Dad." And if it has Red 40 in it, he'll be like, "Oh, well, that's not good." And it's hilarious. Yeah, yellow. He actually asked me about Yellow 5, and I told him we would look it up, but then I forgot. So we need to look up Yellow 5 next. All right? So we talk a lot about these corporations, and it's very interesting through the eyes of a child. I think that's why the Bible says that if you want to go to heaven, you have to go there, right? You have to have the eyes of a child, right? I'm paraphrasing that, but basically it says that. Because, like, I try to explain to him why some of these businesses operate that way. And And like he gets it, but he doesn't really get it. I'm like, so red 40s, bad for people, but they put it in the food. He's like, why? I mean, allegedly, could it be all overseeing people that oversee society? I'm just talking in my personal opinion, right? So why, right? And I was like, well, because these companies, they want to make money and they put that over the well-being of other people. But why? It's because they don't. Not everybody does the right thing. But why? I was like, well, some people are, I come from a Christian worldview, so I say some people just they get very detached from Jesus, and they worry about things that aren't as important, and they put like money and things over their family and people. But why? Right? Like for a young child, that is, which is also why I don't believe in original sin, because I've been around enough. I've been around my children. I've been around children. That children come into the world and, ooh, Stacy G sighting. Children come into the world and they see the world through a very innocent lens, right? Yeah, and I think a large problem with what we have in society is we have a society in which like it takes away the innocence of children through trauma, right? Like all these broken homes, these children, like a child's innocence is the most valuable thing in the world. Like, and like people without children don't understand it. It's like if someone takes your child's innocence, like what you want. Yeah, original sin is a Catholic construction, right? I don't believe in original sin. They come into the world with such innocent eyes, and then so many children, because of broken homes or because of, it could happen anywhere, right? Like it could happen when they're with their friends, and like their friends put inappropriate stuff on the internet, right? Like, but a lot of children have their innocence ripped through a trauma, and that's a very bad thing. It's a very damaging thing. It's the type of thing where it stays with children in their subconscious as they get older. And that's why as parents, we have to be so hyper vigilant about everything that goes on with our children, everywhere they go. What are they watching? Because sadly, public schools are a great example of it, because you put your children into schools and they have their innocence, and then they are put into an environment where a lot of children have had their innocence ripped away through horrible experiences, and then those children wind up ripping the innocence out of your children. And so it's a very interesting thing, and it's why I do, from being around children, I don't believe in original sin, and I understand why the Bible's like, if you want to get into heaven, then you need to see the world through the lens of a child. Like, you need to maintain some of your innocence. Like, you need to have some in you of, like, why wouldn't you do what is right? Why wouldn't you do the right thing? Why wouldn't you want to help people? Why would you want to hurt people? Right? So, anyway, that's really what I wanted to cover today. I really just wanted to talk about my own experience with having a tough day, and yesterday, and having a great day this morning. And I like that our conversation went to original sin, and my perspective on my own spirituality, or theology, as some people would say. I don't, but no, that's original sin. I don't believe we're all born in sin. I believe that we are born innocent. Now, I mean, I do think that we have some, like, I think we're born with innate personality traits. Like, I think some people are born and they have a propensity toward anger, or some people are born and they have a propensity toward fear and whatnot, and that starts to show as they get older, and they have to work to improve that within I think that's your soul's journey. But I think your soul, as it's born here, is very innocent. Yeah, we are born innocent as a child. I think so too. And like I said, you see that in children when you have conversations with them. And like, try to talk to a 3-year-old about corruption, right? And they're just, but why? But why? Why would you do that, right? But he's like, they're like, but so this hurts people, but they put it in the food? But why? I don't understand, right? Because a child wouldn't do that. But that's the world we live in, unfortunately. And that's why we want to introduce these things to children the right way. And one of the ways that I do that, right, I wrote the Cubs to Bears series. And both my videos today on my channels were about propaganda, right? And I wrote the Cubs to Bears series, which is about teaching children their rights and teaching them to identify propaganda through the mechanisms of it, right? Through the mechanisms of, okay, so people that are in power will use social shame to try to get you to give up your rights. Or like in the book, Free Speech, Social Media, Beep, and the First Amendment, Stand Up Bear calls out the Saving Puppy Center because they're not saving puppies, right? They're feeding puppies to hungry coyotes. He says, bunnies, puppies, things that moo, coyotes turn them into stew. How could animals be such dupes? Coyotes just want piglet soups, right? And then he's banned from doing stand-up comedy, right? He's accused of being a thought criminal, and he takes his message to the Blue Mountain Birds, which is the logo of Twitter. Carry my message as far as you reach. Carry my message. He writes down on a scroll, and the birds carry his message. Carry my message. So you see how as the children get older and they understand what Twitter is, they'll look back and be like, oh, that's what that was a reference to, right? But either way, they get the message without even knowing what Twitter is. Carry my message with as far as you reach. Carry my message with tweets, tweets, tweets. So then the news roosters come along and they say that Stand Up Bear's anti-bird, no longer can he speak such dangerous words, right? And then because he's accused of being anti-bird, he's not allowed to send his tweets around the farm anymore, right? So he's labeled derogatory term. They use the derogatory term. They'll hang a derogatory term on you. They'll say, this guy's an obic, this guy's an ism, this guy's an anti-you-know-whatter. And because of that, we shouldn't allow him to spread his dangerous on the internet, right? And that's how propaganda works. So we're teaching children to identify propaganda through the books and through the course that I teach using the books. So, of course, children are born innocent, angelic, more in touch with the spiritual world than the rest. Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't know what to think about this stuff, but you hear stories where there are, and it's just hard because they're stories, like, until you experience it firsthand, I don't know. But, you hear stories of, like, there are children who talk about things that happened in the past, or, like, they say they were here before, and that they were this person, and their friend got killed or something. And then, like, you look it up, their parents look it up, and it actually happened, and they're like, how is that possible? Now, I don't know if that stuff's true or not. I don't know. I find that stuff very fascinating. I'm very interested in that. So, and that's the thing too. Like, here's the thing. Like, everyone likes to be a knower, but like, what's really powerful is to not know. What's really powerful, and that's one of the biggest problems people have when they wake up. I think a lot of people read that letter. RS LMNOP RS, right? So there was the letter that they used the big psyop for, and a lot of those people were very susceptible to that psychological operation, that type of propaganda, and the reason for that is they woke up. You had a large segment of the population. Like, think if you were the people trying to control the population, right? You have a very large segment of the population, and in this instance, just because the way things unfolded, it happened to be the right-wing population that were waking up to a lot of the things that were going on in the world. This concept that there was this deep state, right? Which obviously there is a deep state. Those are the corporations, those are the insurance companies, those are the banks, those are the unelected bureaucracies, right? Those are the big financial controls, the state that you don't see, the shadow state. So a lot of people were waking up to this concept that there was this deep state. And so they're saying, okay, so now the system is a lie. Now, human nature is, yeah, that's adorable. You think I care about Trump? He's another grabbler. See, again, you probably live in this this paradigm where the only thing you understand is like this left-right paradigm, right? Where they think like, oh, you're either a Democrat or Republican. Like, no, you're a slave, right? You understand that? So you have these people waking up to these obvious truths that there is this deep state, right? And people's nature is that they need to be knowers, right? So they're going to replace that with something. So imagine if you're the intelligence community or whoever is behind that sees this breakthrough in human psychology, this evolution of human psychology, where people are saying, oh, the system as it's presented itself, right? Because the system is a veil. They want you to think Republicans and Democrats, and what they show you on the news is what's relevant in the world. And no, it's exactly what the people who control the system want you to think about, right? So people start to wake up to that, and they're going to go look in other places, right? So they're going to go look in other places. So what do? What you do is you have to give them something, replace their worldview. So the powers that be create this amazing psychological operation. I mean, I gotta say, it really is amazing. I could have fallen for it. I'm very strong. I have very good discernment, but I didn't, because it was targeted at people like me. I didn't buy it for a second. But some of the stuff was so intriguing, right? And like what they did was, so what they do is, they came along and they said a lot of true things within that letter, right? And then just a lot of untrue things and outrageous things, and they guided the population so that they don't actually understand the world, and they just make them look crazy, right? And then that signals to other people, like, don't listen to what these people are saying. They're just crazy. Well, no, some of the things are true, but they just, very clever how they did it. And people are so, people will realize they were lied to, but they don't examine that they had a flaw within their thinking process in the first place, right? So, like, rather than say, holy crap, my whole worldview was incorrect, I better take a step back and reevaluate the way in which I was thinking, they just say, no, I need to be a knower, right? So then they latch on to Q and they say, well, this is what Q said, now I'm a knower, right? And then, they're talking down at everyone like, oh, you don't know? I follow this letter on the internet, right? And it's like you don't know. You haven't reevaluated the way in which you think. And because of that, you're going to get lured right into a trap. And ultimately, they got lured into a very big trap. And to me, that was the most obvious trap in the world. I had family members that told me they were going to go to not January 5th, not January 7th. They were considering going. They were like, what do you think about going to that just to be a spectator? And I obviously worded that for very specific reasons. And I was like, no, I wouldn't be caught within 300 miles of that place, because it's the most obvious trap I've ever seen, right? And sure enough, it was. And that gets me into 45 and my problems with him, right? Because, like, come on, you didn't know you led your people into a trap, right? You led your people right into a trap. What about the letter psyop? Like, you didn't come out and say, no, that's a psyop? Like, if you're not actually the one controlling it, you understand that your enemies are controlling it, right? Like, anyway, so, and it's just, it's amazing. It's amazing. Right into a trap. And that's like, that stuff's really fascinating to me. Holy crap, I just got kicked off of... I just got kicked off of my live stream on TikTok for that.